Hello and welcome. As we know by now, Disney is a billion-trillion-dollar company that has its hands on everything. But there's a lot of things that Disney has done that have been forgotten. Now, we've explored a lot of the movies that have been forgotten, but there's a lot more media that has been lost or forgotten as well. And I thought it'd be cool to jump in and take a look at some of the other pieces of forgotten media that Disney has done. And today I wanted to start out with a little old magazine that they came out with back in the 90s, with Disney Adventures.
What do I look for in a magazine? Huh, adventure. A good laugh. And it's got to be really weird. And it's got to have heaps of competitions. And my mum has to think it's very educational. And it can't be too expensive, so $2.50's okay. And you'd have to be not to know that Disney Adventures has got all that. Disney Adventures? That's cool.
Disney Adventures was a magazine they came out with in 1990. So it started before I was born, but it was from 1990 to 2007. They published a monthly issue. I have this box of issues and I didn't realize that I actually have a good amount of them. I looked on the Disney Wicca that they have a cover gallery of all the magazines, and I do have a lot of these covers. So it's something that I collected without realizing how big a deal it was. I think I started to get into the magazine back in the 1999 era. I'm not sure if I still have some of them because I haven't looked at these in years. But I thought it'd be cool to take a look at them together and go back down nostalgia lane. There are a lot of issues here and there's a lot to talk about, but we can jump into a couple of them because I think it's so fascinating, especially because a lot of them are considered collector's issues. And I'm sure that they really aren't that valuable as they said they were back then. Out of these issues, I want to focus on one of each kind. I'm going to focus on a collector's issue, such as this one, as well as a comics issue, because they had a lot of these, and a regular issue. I figured out my issues that we're going to discuss. This is my earliest edition. We have our special comics issue that was from 2003, a collector's issue from 2004. This is the newest one that I have from 2007. It's interesting to first compare the oldest to the newest. This is towards the end of the magazine ending anyways. It only ran until November 2007. The price also changed too, not too much, but it started out as $3.49 per issue, and this was $3.95. Which, compared to magazines today, this is still very cheap because I'm actually shocked at how much magazines go for. But that's just a side note. Let's actually open these up. So, of course, this is also filled with a bunch of advertisements, as always. But it's interesting to see what kids my age were into back then. It seems like they both had a hello section where they talk a little bit about what's going to be in the issue. This one was focused on Spy Kids, so we have a lot of Spy Kids information here and about the cover. And then we have our table of contents, which is hard to see because they're not on the same exact page. This one's over here, and this one's over here. Gives you a better view of the table of contents. I actually like this format better, but this one's very 90s. We had a lot more graphic design put into this one. It's been a very long time since I've read any magazines, and I'm realizing and I'm forgetting, because of the fact that we're now online, that print media was the way they advertised back then, and I'm forgetting how many advertisements are in this magazine for movies and video games and different clothing for kids, and I was one of them, but I don't remember most of these products. Literally, basically every other page is an advertisement. It's literally, I'm honestly thinking that there's maybe about 70% of these magazines have advertisements in them, and then it's only 30% of content. I remember these ads. This one's from this was from 2001, but I remember these ads. These were when M&M minis were first coming out, and you could wrap these and put these on the M&M minis. Also, side note, are they even a thing? I don't think M&M minis exist anymore. We're just gonna focus on the 2001 issue first. I'm like, literally every other page there's an advertisement for a movie or a TV show, which also, this was Disney, but we had Nickelodeon ads and Nickelodeon advertisements and information about them, which I think is really ironic. Ad. Like, such little content here. Ad. It cracks me up. Getting to actual content here. It's cool to see because they have the calendar in here, which still, of course, is filled with all pop culture news and basically advertisements. But then we also have a different format here. It's exactly the same calendar. And they're both April. I didn't realize that. Well, that works great. But this one's all vertical. And of course, you do have advertisements, such as SpongeBob is coming to DVD. But you also do have little things and little holidays. So it's cute that they do say it's Earth Day. And over here it's Earth Day. But it's so mind-boggling how much advertisements are in this thing. Like I said, it's been a while since I read any magazines, and there's little to no content in magazines, and it's just a bunch of advertisements. And you're basically paying $4 for this much of like legit articles and then advertisements. Turning to actual content, here are both of our cover stories. So we do have our interview for the Super Spy Kids, and it is a legit interview. They do have questions, so it's nice because, I mean, obviously they're advertising a movie, but it's an actual article for kids at the same time. And I know I haven't kept this in good condition, but we have Meet the Robinsons, and they do tell you who the characters are and what the movie's about, because it is a Disney film and we know that's how they advertise, but it's nice to see that there is some background here and you do get to meet the characters, and this is what you're paying for. And it's cool because they do have a little villain chart here comparing Bowler Hat Guy and the famous villain hats to other ones. So this is really cute. I like content like this. They had these comic issues every so often, so you have these comics, and this is what we're going to look at next. I'm also interested though because this phone number clearly isn't valid anymore, but I want to call it and see what comes up. Alright. I'm dialing the number.
This call may be recorded for quality assurance. We have a special promotion today for select callers. If you are over 50, please press 1 now. If not, press 2.
What is this number?
Hello, and thank you in advance for answering 3 fun, quick, and easy questions about travel. Select callers will receive a free Florida Bahamas cruise vacation for 2, just for helping us out.
What is this number?
Let's begin. If you are 25 years or older, please press 1. If not, press 2.
I'm hanging up. Well, okay. So, the number's still valid, but you can't order Disney Adventures. Good to know. Anyways, we're moving on. These are stickers. I'm actually excited we have stickers. I have to look through my other issues and see if we have stickers. I mean, they have so much advertisements. And this one is just filled with comics. I remember her. I was also almost in high school at this point, and I was a gothic girl, so I remember this. And this is actually really funny because they have a character coming out now in Disneyland that looks very similar to her. We also have our joke section, which we did have in the other issue as well. And that's the difference of how that looks. This one seems to have a little bit more content though, because we do have stories to read, and they have a Technomania section where they give you hits about how to play certain games, and especially with Star Wars, and different gadgets they have, and websites, which this is really cool. I like that they're like showing edutainment websites, which I want to see what it's like to go on here. We still have the Technomania section in this one, and it also still gives you game hits. So as cool as yeah, it's still the same with a difference of 6 years. But they don't give you any cool websites to go on. We still have our comic zone here as well into 2001 episode, but these are later compared to the comics being first and the jokes after. So they switched up the format a little bit, but every section's still in here. Also, this might be one of the creepiest images that I've ever seen. And then we have our last laugh, which seems to be the last segment of every issue, and it is still on the last page for both. The comic issue is basically the same. It's filled with the same advertisements, the mailbox, our calendar, and this is from 2003, so it's fun how quickly they changed the format in 2 years. And I also like that they mentioned Spirited Away, even though it wasn't that well known when I was a kid. But there's only about half the magazine that has our normal segments. Yeah, that's the normal segments. And then from this point on, it's literally all comics for the special comic issue. And a lot of them are Disney comics, so it's nice because you have Monsters Inc., you have Lilo and Stitch, Kim Possible, and advertisements mixed in between. Last one to look at is our collector's issue, which I don't think is that much of a collector's issue at all. It's exactly the same segments, advertisements on every page, basically. That's a cute puppy though. Our November calendar. I'm actually surprised that Good Charlotte's a part of this, because they were catering to the MTV crowd, and I figured that Disney is not. I loved Good Charlotte, so I'm totally happy seeing them as part of this magazine because I get to read about them again. When it comes down to it, this collector's issue is very similar to, well, that's an advertisement. It's very similar to the Meet the Robinsons issue. This was made first, and the Meet the Robinsons isn't considered a collector's issue, but this one is. But it still tells you the same exact thing. They also had a Disney magazine, which I forgot was another thing. And this is more for families, and I would assume adults especially, because it tells you what's going on with the theme parks. It also has a different number, but I'll say that for another episode, just see if I can find some. All in all, it's really cool to take a look at these issues again, because even though they are a huge advertising mishap, it's cool to take a look at and remember and go back through nostalgia lane. You can definitely tell what was popular back then and the trends that we're going towards, but there was a lot of underlying trends that people really didn't pick up on, especially with how much Japanese culture was also influencing our decade as well, and I definitely picked up a lot of that. But there's a lot more that I've found throughout these issues that I even forgot about, because it was when video games were becoming huge, it was when social media wasn't around yet, and we just had the start of our technology explosion. So even though these magazines don't really have anything article-wise except for pop culture, it's what I used to read as a kid, and I still have a lot of issues. I would love to be able to go back and find some issues from the early 1990s when they first started to see the difference, to see if they kept the same format, but at least we still got to see a difference of 2001 compared to 2007 when the magazine ended. And now I gotta see if I can find Disney magazine, because I'm really interested in it, and there's still a lot more forgotten media to come aboard, so we're gonna do a lot more of these episodes on different things. Let me know if you want to see anything specific, if you remember anything, and we'll check it out together. I hope you guys have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.